Welcome to CavsHQ, presented by Sherwin-Williams. Thank you for joining us on Valley Sports Ohio and the Cavaliers Radio Network. Now, here are your hosts, John Michael and Rafa Hernandez-Brito.
Welcome to another edition of Cavs HQ, brought to you by Sherwin-Williams, alongside the Spanish voice of just about everything, Rafa Hernandez-Brito.
I have a complaint.
I am John Michael, and he has a complaint before I even introduce myself.
Somebody stole April. We're in the month of May already.
I know. The
It's
season
unreal.
has only a handful of games remaining. Flew by. 72 games, 10 fewer games this season, but it still flew by.
Yeah, John, but going back to December when we started to think about starting the season and here we are about to finish it, it's amazing.
It is.
The job that everybody has done.
Once again, the NBA is about to pull it off once again. It was a bubble last season. We're able to crown a champion this season. You know, the daily test. I mean, grind for the players. I mean, the players, again, on the road each and every day, at home or on the road, getting tested time and time again. It's what the NBA felt they had to do, and here we are with the playoffs looming and another successful season, regular season, nearly in the books.
Do what you got to do, they say, right?
Yeah, do what you have to do. We have had a lot going on, and we have a lot coming up over the next couple of weeks. One thing that we had going on was your hockey debut with the Cleveland Monsters.
They did a good job. You know, they won in overtime.
Yeah, they gave you a good one, didn't they? They could have given you a snoozer.
Remember, you and I talked in the previous show about me not knowing what was going to come out of my mouth if there was a goal.
Right.
We knew it was going to, more than likely, was going to be.
Right.
And we now know.
You had plenty of goals.
I had plenty.
And you had plenty of timely goals by the good guys and everything else.
You and I had talked about this many times, and we have spent time watching playoff hockey, and I get nervous watching playoff hockey. I could care less who wins or loses, right? But I think it's so exciting. And playoff hockey, I mean, overtime hockey, 3-on-3, has got to be the most exciting thing I ever called in my life.
Yeah, wild. And so you got a good game. We're going to talk about that in the second half of the show. We're going to visit with Raul Schwartzman, a Cleveland Clinic cardiologist, talk a little bit about the great things he is doing with his Cover or COVID group, and they've done a wonderful job. First half of the show, however, David Gilbert, CEO of Destination Cleveland, Greater Cleveland Sports Commission. I mean, we've had some big events that just took place over the past week, and now coming up next year, NFL draft right here in our city. Man, that was a sight to see.
You know, I'm a New Yorker, but I adopted, and the city adopted me when I came here in 2014.
What city? The city of
Cleveland
Cleveland adopted you.
The city of Cleveland adopted me, and
right.
I adopted it. I made it my home the second I was hired by the Cavs.
Okay.
And it makes me so proud and gives me such a smile to see the wonderful job they have done with all these major events. The latest one, the NFL draft, obviously. But we have a bigger one coming up next February.
NBA All-Star Game right here, Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. David Gilbert, a big part of building. There's so much that goes in. That's my biggest question for David. So much goes into this. We have an idea of what the commission does.
We just go down there and go to the NFL experience.
We sort of have an idea of what the sports commission does here in Cleveland, but we work in sports, but not really on a day-to-day basis. How much they are doing to promote all of this. I love watching people from out of town come into town like they did during the NFL draft.
Except for Steelers fans.
And you hear time and time again, even Steelers fans saying, "Man, Cleveland's pretty cool." You know,
it's hot.
We heard that so many times over the last couple of days. It's been great.
And we, you know, you're a TV guy. You always look good. You always try to look good. The city looked amazing.
Yeah, it did.
Whoever designed going back to everything that goes into planning this, whoever designed the shot and the places where everybody was going to be placed did a wonderful job, amazing job, because Cleveland looked great.
Yeah, and I couldn't stop thinking about what it's going to look like in February of next year when this building is the centerpiece of all of those shots. So we're going to talk to David Gilbert about that. A lot coming up on the show. It's straight ahead. Stick around right here on CavsHQ. Back here inside Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse on the set of CavsHQ, presented by Sherwin-Williams. Our next guest, David Gilbert, commissioner of the Cleveland Sports Commission, right? CEO, the Cleveland Sports Commission, loves sports, loves Cleveland, and it pretty much shows every single day for what he does and what he brings to this city.
Loves to kick butt, apparently, too, because all the events that they've been putting together have been just amazing.
Amazing. NFL draft just concluded. Coming up, the 2022 NBA All-Star Game right here in our fair city. And here to talk about it with us is David Gilbert. David, I got to tell you, it's always great to talk to you. I did want to start out by warning you, however. On most shows, the guests get a little something as a token of the show's appreciation. On our show, my co-host has a tendency of asking our guests for something throughout the course of the interview. So just be ready in case it comes to you once Rafa starts talking. Just wanted you to be ready to
go. I'll be ready and happy to deliver.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm anticipating him to ask you at the Cleveland Sports Awards to add a new category for Spanish play-by-play guy of the year, so he can just run the table for the next couple of seasons. So whatever you do, resist the temptation to even listen to him. That's good. Hey, first things first.
Tough competition for that one.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, he has an angle. The guy has an angle.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, here we go. I put the seed in the brain. Hey, David, hats off. I mean, the NFL draft just completed, and it was phenomenal. I cannot tell you how good it looked on television. I cannot tell you the excitement around Cleveland. Obviously, you were right there. You were a part of it. Hats off in a big, big way.
Thanks, John. It was an incredible few days, and it's I'll tell you, our community delivered. We knew all these people were coming, and even in the pandemic, all the tens of millions of eyes on Cleveland. But we heard so many incredible comments from people about how much they loved Cleveland. They love the people. They want to come back. People were talking about, I want to move here. It was a great way to showcase what we know about this incredible city.
The question everybody's asking, Dave, is who had a better weekend, Andrew Berry or you? I mean, I think you're the only one that could say that you beat Andrew Berry this weekend.
I have to tell you, Rafa, that is one incredible compliment because, man, you never know with the draft, but boy, the Browns sure did seem to knock it out of the park. And, every national analyst is saying the same thing.
It is two things that, and I mentioned it earlier, is I came to Cleveland 7 years ago and adopted this city as my hometown, and the city had taken me back. Great. And I was so proud to see how awesome the city looked on TV, how awesome the city looked in here. And I think it's a great job by all of your staff and everybody that worked on this event for years, I'm assuming. But I was wondering, do you get to enjoy everything that went on this past weekend, or it was still work 24 hours a day?
Some of both. So much of the work is in the planning, and once it gets going, it's almost like you're in a raft going down the rapids. At some point, not much more you can do. You go where it takes you. And I will say there was one of the days on Friday, that evening, I didn't want to be around anybody else. I just walked around and enjoyed it. I walked around the city. I walked around the site. I just watched people, and it was very gratifying. I want to make sure I took a little bit of time, and in hindsight, very glad I did, because it's easy when you're working in something to feel like you missed it because you're so busy the whole time, and you almost have to make a point of backing off the work and just observing it, and it was a lot of fun.
We're talking to David Gilbert, CEO of the Cleveland Sports Commission. All right, so many big events, NFL draft most recently. We've had the All-Star Game in baseball here. The NCAA Final Four, Women's Final Four coming up in a couple of seasons. But for the Cavaliers, straight ahead, Cavs are on the clock, 2022 All-Star Game. So many of us are so excited about it. Here's my question for you, David. We know that the Cleveland Sports Commission does so much to help with the planning, but can you give us just an idea, just a snapshot, just a slice of how long this has been in the works in terms of bringing the NBA All-Star Game back home to Cleveland here for the 75th season, and what's going to be an unbelievable celebration? But this isn't just something that you for a couple of weeks or a couple of months in advance, correct?
Yeah, no, John, you're exactly right. And we've been working for probably the better part of 4 years with the Cavs on this. And there was no doubt that there was without the transformation of Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, the NBA would not have given the draft or the All-Star game back to Cleveland. But it also wasn't just you wake up one morning and it's on your doorstep. The kind of bid documents that we had to prepare, and this was about 3 years ago. We've signed over a dozen different contracts with the NBA. We will have to raise somewhere upwards of $5 million for the community obligations that it takes. And the ROI is so far above that. It's actually quite frankly, a great deal for the community. But a huge amount of preparation went into securing the All-Star game. And then, of course, we started the planning a good 6 months ago already, bringing together a lot of discussions with the NBA, the Cavs, and the Sports Commission, and a lot of other organizations, particularly the city, Destination Cleveland, Downtown Cleveland Alliance, and others will all be very involved, and really helping to make sure that we leverage this event to its maximum for the short and long-term benefit of Cleveland.
And the fans, we get to see the slam dunk championship, we get to see the All-Star game, all the other things that go around, but I'm pretty sure that you get a bigger kick out of the benefit that the community of Cleveland and the Northeast Ohio community will get and gets from having this event. And that is probably the biggest part of hosting this event, correct?
It is, Rafa. And look, I'm a diehard, lifelong Cleveland sports fan and sports fan in general. So yeah, all the excitement around the sports aspect is great. But for us, why we do it is exactly what you said. It is for what Cleveland gets out of it. And an event like NBA All-Star Game, if you look at economic impact studies from past All-Star games, and this actually should be higher because of the 75th, there'll be even more to it than there have been in past years. Should far exceed $100 million in new money in our community that otherwise wouldn't have been there. And of course, it'll be watched by tens of millions of fans in the country and extending to over 200 countries around the world. And the NBA, it's been really cool because they've already been talking a lot about how they best highlight Cleveland within the show. And that's music to our ears, because if the inside one arena looks like another, you wouldn't really know the difference. But they're going to do the kind of job we all want for the world to know that this is in Cleveland and highlight our great city.
Those are eye-popping numbers. They really are. I mean, great stuff, David. I'm curious too about the planning. I mean, I know so much goes into it, and you have to go in, I'm sure, into such detail, minuscule detail on so many things. Are there for any of these events you plan, something that would shock people who are just, casually familiar with what you do, in terms of a little detail, the little things that you have to worry about and deal with to get these big events in here, like the All-Star game, like the NFL draft? Is there, in terms of little details, is there something that would surprise people in terms of what you have to do to get to pull these things off on a regular basis?
Well, one, I think some people may not understand just how competitive it is.
Yeah.
That, there may be a year when we're competing against 20 other cities. And so, it's not a dartboard thrown at a map. It happens to land on Cleveland, and that's where the event goes. I mean, this is a highly competitive business. And the key is, John, you hit on something really important. There's the big check the box things that we have to do. We have to raise certain amounts of money. We have to provide certain facilities, but it's the little things above and beyond. And I'll just give you one example with the NFL draft, and we're going to mirror a lot of this with NBA All-Star game. We did a whole 3-day, we called a Power of Sports Summit. We created out of thin air a 3-day event focused on advancing racial equity and inclusion through sports. And we had a couple dozen sessions. We had speakers from all over the country. Part of it was online, part of it was in person. that's just one element of something we didn't have to do, but we wanted to do to make this event bigger, make it better, make it more impactful. You can go on to another, for the draft, and we'll similar for NBA All-Star, we had over 2,000 volunteers. So think of the number of people you have to recruit, you have to manage, you have to train, you have to outfit, you have to feed, you have to oversee day in and day out. You may just see the word volunteers, but not realizing that it takes multiple staff and 6 months of planning just for that one aspect of helping to plan the event.
Before we let you go, David, I got an idea. For the 50th All-Star game, they got jackets. They have the top 50 players. I think for the 75th, we should have a parade, and I suggest I should be the marshal of the parade. And celebrate with the top 75 players in the NBA. And if they get a jacket, extra large for me, please.
So here's what I can tell you. I have no control over it. We'll certainly run the idea by the NBA. But the jacket, some kind of jacket, that we can take care of.
There you go.
I warned you not to give in to him. I know it's hard. He'll wear you down for the whole interview.
I've heard much worse before.
Yeah. And for sure, Larry Nance Sr., with being 22, should be involved some shape or form with the All-Star. The All-Star game, I think he's definitely he should be the marshal of everything.
I think if we get that parade, we'll put you in front of it, Rafa.
Yeah.
There we go. Hey, David, it's always great to catch up with you. Always fun and phenomenal work. I mean, we've just touched that. We've just the tip of the iceberg on what you've done over all the years. If you had a message for the our fans here in Cleveland, what this All-Star game is going to mean to you and going to mean to the city coming up, what would that be?
I would just say be ready. I mean, and be proud. This is, the world's going to see us. A lot of people are going to enjoy it, but every Clevelander should take pride in the fact that this event that the world is going to be watching is going to be held in our great city.
I know I can speak for Rafa and also the Cavs organization. Just a heartfelt thank you, for your partnership, your great partnership with us and the Cavaliers organization, and everything that you've done to make this the center of the sports universe over the last couple of years. So fantastic stuff. Thanks for joining us. Keep up the great work.
Well, thank you. And the partnership goes both ways, so it's appreciated here as well.
Back with more after this on CavsHQ. Welcome back. Westfield is helping small businesses shine more brightly. The Cavaliers congratulate the 2021 Small Business Spotlight winners. They are Poke Fresh in Cuyahoga Falls and Highland Heights, and Pab's Creamery with 4 locations in the Akron-Canton area. Nominate your favorite business serving the food industry at Cavs.com/Westfield.
CavsHQ nominates a friend of the show, Barroco Bar and Grill, Arepa Grill.
Yes, it's excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. That's your nomination?
That's my nomination for sure. That's what we celebrated the championship for the Spanish broadcast.
That is correct.
The only restaurant in Cleveland that had the Larry O'Brien trophy in their premises.
That was a ball, by the way.
Yeah.
We had a really good time at Barroco celebrating the 2016 championship. Some changes this season to the playoff format, at least more teams being allowed in. 7 through 10 play-in tournament, and it is something that's drawn some criticism from some areas, and has drawn praise.
Are you
from
a fan
others.
of it?
I love it.
Yeah.
I thought, you know what? It's funny. When I look at sports, typically I tend to be more traditional. All right, in baseball, when they were introducing the wild card, I said, this is crazy. When they were introducing interleague plays,
but the only good thing that
this is crazy. But now it's neat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, more teams are involved. More teams are still alive. Your team's not done by June in baseball looking for the pennant. So eventually I came around and I said, it's great. This, at first I thought, 10 teams coming in, but I like it.
What is it? Let's just go over what the playing tournament actually entails.
For those of you a little bit newer to the NBA, it's simple. Teams 7 through 10 have a chance to claim the last 2 spots, the 7th seed and the 8th seed in each conference. So here's how it works. The team that finishes 7th plays the team that finishes 8th. So 7 plays 8, right? Winner of that game is into the playoffs, all right? 9 plays 10. Loser of that game is out of the playoffs, all right? So the team that loses 7-8 plays the winner of 9-10. They play each other. The winner of that game is in.
Now, is it only one game, or is it going to be
One
like
game.
the other way last year, the 2 games
No.
for the ninth?
No, just one game. So what that means is if your team finishes 7th or 8th, the only way it could be knocked out of the playoffs is to lose twice. If your team finishes 9th or 10th, the only way it can get into the playoffs is win twice.
And on the road. So this is my theory with the playing tournament, and I think nothing is traditional, like you mentioned this year, John. Nothing is normal. Nothing is it's
Everything's
that we're
different.
used to it. So 1 to 4 in the standings could care less about the playing tournament. 5 and 6, they're in the middle. 7 and 8 hate it.
Well, you're right.
Right?
Right.
9 below, love
Thrilled.
it. It's the best idea that Commissioner Silver could ever have. At the end of the day, I think for the fans, you're talking about at least 4 games extras before the season.
High stakes, too.
And obviously, whoever wins the 8th seed, the prize is to go play
Right.
the first series against the number 1 seed, which is, hey, you're in the playoff.
It is funny, though. You hear the criticism. Gee, it seems to be from teams right around
The
that 7
dumbest
or,
idea
right
is like,
around
yeah,
that
you're
7 or 8
sixth place.
area, right, where you typically would be guaranteed a full first-round series. Not so much anymore. But I think it's great. I mean, you look at the trade deadline. Most people thought that this trade deadline would be a quiet one because the cap didn't increase this year, right?
Yeah.
There would be less money to go around. However,
Record.
because more teams are still in it, because now there are 10 teams involved, there was a lot of activity,
With a
more so
record
than in
number of
decades.
trades
Right.
and players.
More so than in decades. I think it has affected a lot of teams well. I mean, let's look at the Wizards, for example. The Wizards have gone on an incredible run. They're now solidly in that 10th spot in the Eastern
and
Conference.
maybe 9th, because Indiana is not.
And by the way, they're killing teams right now, and they're on a roll, and they're going to be. I mean, going into the playoffs. Washington, Brooklyn could be a first-round matchup. Could you? There's some star power in that.
What about in the West having to face Curry and the Warriors in that playing game?
Again, and the stakes are so high because that's why do you think the 7th and 8th teams hate it?
Well,
they don't want to mess around because you lose 2 games, you're gone.
I think he has implemented a little more obviously the extra teams in the playoff. But before you used to play to just be in the first 4, so you have home field advantage, right?
Home court advantage.
This
right.
year is kind of different because home court is been diminished by the thing. But you still gotta travel, you still gotta do all the things on the road. But now 5 and 6 are the spots you want to be in. It doesn't matter if you're not at home, but 5 and 6 is where you really want to shoot for, because that means you're in and you just have a few days off and wait for whoever you're going to be playing.
6 to 7 is where the safe zone becomes the danger zone.
And those teams in both conferences are really close. They're tied.
Yeah.
So you don't know how. You don't know. So that means it added excitement to the last 2 weeks of the season,
right?
For the fans.
And that's an area in which the NBA had drawn criticism, right? Because players were rested. And we knew that well. I mean, right? When the Cavs were in those finals runs, those last couple of games, why would you play anybody in those last couple of games? You don't want to risk injury, going into the playoffs. So I think that alleviates some of that criticism. It's going to make for some fun basketball right up until the end of the regular season.
Put me on the side that I love the playing tournament.
I am
until I have to deal with
again. I heard it when I first heard about it. I thought I'm not so sure. Yeah. This might be something that sticks around. We'll see.
I like it.
We'll take a break. More CavsHQ right after this. Welcome back to CavsHQ, presented by Sherwin-Williams. Starting the second half of the show. You know what's been nice?
Yep.
Here inside Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse is seeing more and more fans back in the building. I can't say it enough. Just seeing fans now courtside, more people, just being able to chat up on the concourse.
How are you going to behave when we have 19,000 people here?
I don't know. That is going to be different, isn't it? I mean, I was thinking about that. I mean, shortly we'll be going across the street, going to Indians games.
Yes.
And again, it's still spaced out, but pretty soon we're going to be getting back to normal, and there'll be people sitting beside you again, and it's going to feel
I'm waiting for the mask restriction to be lifted, because I don't think I can sit in the bleacher with the mask on, and then I'm going to show up with a patch in my mouth. But it is very important to wear your mask.
To be honest with you, I prefer to be with you at a game with your mask on. I've seen how you behave and your inability to keep quiet during baseball games. We have a very important guest right now.
Very important.
This is individual that you're friends with. Fill us in, Dr. Raul Schwartzman.
Dr. Raul Schwartzman, he's a
great stuff.
cardiologist for Cleveland Clinic. And when the pandemic started, one of the few wonderful things that happened out of all this mess is that he has brought people together.
Right.
And he has brought attention to some of the communities that have been left behind, especially during this time of crisis. And the Hispanic community and the African American community were one of them. And the foundation that I was proud to be part of, together with Jose Calderon,
right,
was his foundation that he founded, Cover of COVID, which was at the beginning just out there giving masks to people that had no access to this at the beginning of the pandemic. And now he has grown to education with the vaccination and just trying to help the communities that are challenged out there. So it is a pleasure to have him on and also to be part of his efforts.
Groundbreaking stuff. Let's bring on Dr. Schwartzman now. And again, he is the co-founder of Cover or COVID. Dr. Schwartzman, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks in advance for everything that you've done over the last handful of months. Just take us through how this foundation came about, where it is right now, and everything that's gone into it from your end.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here and to work along with El Alcalde. So it came initially when I was talking to patients and their families that I could not believe that the limitations they had in getting masks. This is at the beginning of the pandemic, it's March of last year. And because of the confusion messages provided by the government and local authorities and science-based institutions, was not clear to people, and we didn't know, it was a very new condition, how relevant the use of masks would be, that there was no efforts to have people wear masks. And what is for you or for me, for Rafa, common now to use Zoom or other alternatives communicate even at long distances, for many people, particularly in the African American and Hispanic communities, is a luxury. So social distancing is a luxury, working from home is a luxury. There are multi-generational homes with several different ages and risks living together, and we had to do something. So that's why I found cool the similar wording with the cover of COVID, the first three letters same, like a catchy phrase, like a click it or ticket, but without penalizing anyone. And that's how we started. And Rafa was instrumental in helping us reach community and to spread the message. And then when this was no longer an issue, wearing masks and they were easily available. So we started realizing what would happen and is happening now. It's very common now, the issue of hesitancy.
And just so you know, doctor, I'm still wearing my Cover of COVID face mask ever since the first days I got it. And I was very excited when I met you and when I heard about the good that we could do to the community, but I was more scared with the numbers that are out there in terms of the lack of information and the lack of help that the Hispanic and African American communities are getting. When it comes to vaccination, what do you recommend? Because, you know, it's easy for us to say go out and get the vaccine, but where can people get the information they need other than talking to the doctors and talking to their friends and get it in their language as well?
We on our website, we had it in Spanish, is www.foundation4fairfuture.org.
Would it be safer to say, Doc, that we are safer with the vaccine than without it, bottom line?
Oh, absolutely. So when there is any doubt, and it's well founded, I understand the concerns people have in terms of the speed these vaccines were developed. But this is the first time there was such a multinational and multi-specialty effort, example of togetherness, and a humongous investment in developing this vaccine. It's not a new technology, it's new for this virus, but has been used for other conditions. And they are much easier to develop than other kind of vaccines. And they went through all very rigorous steps to be approved. So in terms of safety, it's very clear that they're extremely safe. These issues recently happened now with Johnson & Johnson with 13 cases, but with more than 7 million given. statistically non-significant and proven to be clearly more beneficial than riskier. So I'm a strong advocate of the importance of this, and that's the way we have to avoid this pandemic becoming an endemic, to become a chronic condition like now is influenza, where the success rate of the vaccine is much lower, and the amount of people that get it that should be vaccinated is also lower. It's 50% of those who should be vaccinated for influenza got it last season. Nobody knows the numbers. Imagine Dr. Fauci does not. Who am I to know them? But probably 70-75% of the population vaccinated, generating enough immunity to create a herd or community immunity is necessary. So go and have it.
Yep.
And again, count on us. We have our website. You want to contact us, those who speak Spanish, happy to help. And again, discuss with your doctor. I'm pretty sure will be reinforcing the necessity of getting vaccinated.
And those who want to donate as well, we welcome them at f4ff.org.
Yes, we'll on the television side right here on Bally Sports Ohio, we'll be able to show that to our viewers and everything else. Dr. Schwartzman, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for all that you've done. Keep up the fantastic work.
Thank you so much, and hope to meet you in person.
Sounds
Thank you,
good.
Doc.
Ahora busca el centro. Fury. No, señor. Este es CavsHQ. El disparo y no lo pudo desviar. Tyler Angle pierde la oportunidad. Un minuto le resta y casi todo ha sido pasado aquí. Y ahora 1 contra 1. Angle y Fury. Angle para Fury. De regreso para Fury. ¡Gol! ¡Golazo de tiempo extra para los Monsters! Y ganan el partido 5-4. Espectacular jugada de Dame y toma y vuelve a Dame y los Monsters salen con la victoria 5-4. Estadio Cequera, tómalo.
And there it is. You look like you were having a good time.
I had a blast.
Yeah.
Not only I love hockey, like you know, and we love our Monsters, but it was just exciting.
Yeah.
Overtime, hockey overtime is the best.
You know that, I mean, you can go a good 15, 20 games and not get one of those.
Yeah.
Right?
But
you got an overtime winner in your debut.
But you said that to me. You said this to me. Not only you said to me, I said to you last show, I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth. And you said, you better practice. I didn't take your advice. But you also said to me that hockey is the only sport that allows you that much excitement when a goal is scored.
Nothing like calling a goal in hockey.
Nothing. Not even our football, because I'm not a fan of. They call our football soccer. They call it so fast, and it doesn't go that fast. You know, the ball is barely moving sometimes, and the commentator is like.
Right.
And hockey, it is fast.
It is going that fast.
So it was kind of hard getting used to the rhythm. It was kind of hard just having all these players that I never saw in my life before.
Right. Line changes on the fly.
Line changes
that's
on the
a little
fly.
different, right?
You see the shooter. So, you know, I would imagine that if I got a chance to do 10 games, I would know who Tyler Secura, who Tyler Angle, how he skates,
Yeah.
and, you know, the big guys and everything. But it was an amazing. I thank you so much to the Monsters organization for allowing me to be there, and also for trying to get close to the Hispanic community with the Grow the Game night.
Yeah, that to me, that's a huge part of it. I think it was great. The Monsters are playing some terrific hockey,
Yes.
by the way. You know, it's a team that has 5 games remaining, second place in their division. They, you know, again, come on down here to Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. It is a team that's on fire. I don't think that's overstating it.
No, and there's three more home games in the month of May here at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse.
The game you did, the Chicago Wolves are on top of the division.
They swept them. Yeah, I say we. You see, I did one game.
Yeah.
I'm already
That's
talking
you.
we.
Yeah, it's you.
Yeah, like Joe G will say you and the mouth in your pocket.
Yeah.
But they swept the Wolves.
Monsters in second place in the Central Division. They have some games in hand on the first place Wolves as well. Get your tickets at ClevelandMonsters.com. Yeah, it's a fun time and a chance. You know, I mean, obviously, if you're an NHL fan, you get to see these stars of tomorrow. down there with the Blue Jackets.
If Mr. Ostrowski or anybody else in the upper management is watching, I'm available anytime you need me.
So it was self-promotion. I see that you got yourself on camera for the goal as well. That was nice.
Yeah,
it was good.
It was amazing. They did they did a really, really good job. Again, promoting the game.
Right.
You know, I love to be part of that because even though, like we mentioned before, the Hispanic community doesn't have the roots in the sport because we don't play it. If you put anybody that has never seen a hockey game in their life inside an arena to watch a hockey game, they will love the action, period.
Yeah.
I don't care who's playing, and I don't care if there's no score in the game. They will be fans forever just by watching it once.
I've always said that there's nothing like calling a hockey goal. You know, I don't think, a touchdown's nice and all, but it doesn't quite compare to a hockey goal. To me, the one sport to see in person, to fall in love with the most is hockey.
Yeah.
Hockey versus watching hockey on television. There's the biggest difference in terms of sports. That's probably
I'll tell you a story. The next night after we had Grow the Game night, we had Pride night with the Monsters. And the Cavs were playing on the road, so I came in earlier to catch to catch the first period. And I didn't stay because the Cavs were playing, but it was great to just sit there and learn a little bit about like the fans when they clap, when they clear the zone on a power play, when they're trying to kill the power play. So many things that go on that when you come live, you get to experience. It's great. You mentioned some of the great folks in the organization. They do a wonderful job here with the game, just making it exciting for everybody. Noche Latina night with the Cavs was just the other day. That was a fantastic, smashing success as well. 6th annual Noche Latina, and it has been growing. Speaking of growing, it has been growing ever since I came here in 2014. And last year was canceled due to COVID. This year, we did a great job, not only celebrating the Hispanic culture, but we had a couple of our partners. You know, I'm vice chair of the team member resource group. It's called OLA, Hispanics for Outreach, Leadership and Advocacy, and we had the people from Julia de Burgos, which is a community center, the only community center for Hispanic kids in Cleveland, and they had 14 doors on display. That these doors that they have been replaced at the center, so they had the kids paint them from different countries, and so the art was displayed here at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse during the game. And I was working in styles because our friend Souls by Sir, Marcos Rivero, painted a pair of kicks for me to celebrate. Design. The idea came from my wife, and he put the idea into the shoes. So I was working in style. I'm proud. And the coaching staff, I took the liberty to text Coach Bickerstaff. Oh boy! And I said, listen, Coach, I don't know how the wardrobe gets chosen for the coaches. Yeah. And I don't want to be responsible for a wardrobe malfunction. But it'd be nice if you guys join us celebrating Noche Latina, wearing the Los Cavaliers sweater. And he said, we got you, those brother. Those are nice too. So thank you, Coach Bickerstaff, and everybody else for joining the party. They looked fantastic. Yes. Yeah, it's been a great couple of weeks. Great couple of weeks. Great. Let's do it again. Yeah, no question about available. It. The Cavs season is rolling to an end. We'll be back to wrap things up right after this. We're closing up shop here on CavsHQ, presented by Sherwin-Williams. We have 2 weeks left in the season. Cavs haven't even seen the Dallas Mavericks yet. Haven't even seen Luka Doncic. And before this, we haven't seen Washington, and then we saw him twice, and we're going to see him again. So only a handful of games remaining, most of them at home for the Cavs. See what Luka Doncic did, by the way, last weekend? Which one? Which time? Yeah, right. Against Washington, the game that the Mavericks won at the last couple of seconds, 31 points, 20 assists, triple-double. Only the third player in NBA history ever to have a 30-20-10 triple-double. Joining
Magic Johnson and Oscar Robertson.
Insane. The Nuggets have been doing a great job, too, after Jamal Murray went down.
They have.
And
I thought they were finished.
Yeah.
They still, who knows?
The playoff is a different story. But you know what? Also, the LaMelo Ball coming back is also good news for the NBA as well.
Charlotte, yes. And he reintroduced himself to the NBA crowd with
that underhanded
80-foot underhanded pass. I'm looking forward to seeing Luka. I mean, Luka,
I wonder how many Slovenians will be on site, because they always fill up the field house.
Right. Whenever Giannis is in town, we have the Greek, a whole bunch of Greek fans show up.
No, but I think I told you this before. Cleveland is the place where more Slovenians live outside of Slovenia.
Yeah, I just take your word for that.
So it's amazing.
It is amazing. As we look on the television side here on Valley Sports Ohio at the final month of the season, there you see the home games. It's a
only
stretch.
3 yellow. That's good.
Yeah, only 3 yellow. It was a stretch for the Cavs, playing 8 of 9 here at home, stretching back into April. Games coming up against Dallas, Indy, and Boston before heading to our nation's capital and then finishing things up in the Big Apple.
And the amazing thing, every single team on that schedule is in the playoff or fighting for a spot or in somewhere in the loop. So
you knew it was coming. This May was going to be a brutal stretch of games for the Cavaliers. And, hey, you know what though? I mean, where the team is right now, they're going to get some tests down the stretch. Teams playing for some things, so should be some fun basketball the rest of the way.
Can't wait.
All right, that'll do it for us here on CavsHQ. He's Rafa. I'm John. So long, everybody.
Adios.